all the girls were dropped, and I was the only one left.
What was the first?
Because I insisted on roles.
Because you insisted. What was the first film? You can roll back. Let's go.
Dangerous Exile.
Dangerous Exile.
With Louis Jourdan.
Louis Jourdan.
Keith Michelle, wonderful actors. Belinda Lee.
Belinda Lee, wow.
Yes,
Wow.
and I was playing a supporting role. I was playing a spy, very wicked girl, and a Welsh. I had to do a Welsh accent. I love doing accents. I did this. Being born in Birmingham, you know, in the Midlands, you're surrounded by different counties with different accents, as you know. And I got marvelous reviews. In fact, I got the best reviews. I mean, I can say that without ego, because I did. And that helped me, because then they gave me a full leading role in Violent Playground.
Ah, that's what your first.
That was the first breakthrough.
Who was in that with you?
Stanley Baker,
what a
Jack Hawkins, and David McCullum. You know, he came over here and was very popular in Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Right. Jack Hawkins, Stanley Baker, what great people.
Wonderful people to work with. And Basil Dearden directing, Michael Ralph producing, but it was one of these, it was a very dramatic role for me. I played an Irish Liverpool, another accent again. Yes.
How many do you play? You play many accents?
Quite a few,
Quite a few, yes.
And again, it was a girl in the slums of Liverpool taking care of her little brother and sister, twins, but very poor. And one of the kitchen sink dramas, you know, which were very popular then, and very heavy, but I was lucky, I got wonderful reviews, and that set things going for me.
Sir Richard's, come on, let's hear it. I want to know about Sir Richard's, you worked with him, this wonderful, great Sir.
Ralph Richardson.
Ralph Richardson. Sir
He was
Ralph
marvelous.
Richardson.
To me, Ralph Richardson was, without doubt, one of the finest actors we've ever had, and a very, in a sense, eccentric actor. Eccentric and quirky. He even the way he sat was very different. He never did anything usual, you know. It was always unpredictable, and a lovely man to work with too. He was getting on when I worked with him in Midas Run with Fred Astaire, and he was always looking for the extra little bit that he could put into his part. For example, we were in Pisa, and, you know, and he saw the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and he gets out of the car, and the first thing he says is, I'm not surprised. And it wasn't rehearsed or anything, it wasn't in the script, but I know my husband then at the time, Raymond Strass, the producer, said, we've got to keep it in. And it was a lovely comedy touch.
You were married to a producer?
Yes, Raymond Strass, a very fine producer.
He did some wonderful movies.
Wonderful movies, and he was very avant-garde, very much a maverick, and he was a tough, independent producer. We were married for 28 years.
28?
Yes.
Did you enjoy your marriage?
I had a wonderful
I'm looking
marriage.
at you. You seem very tearful, and must have been a wonderful marriage.
It was, and I lost Raymond. It's nearly 3 years ago now.
Really?
And
children?
That was one child, Mark, my son Mark. He's going to be a director.
Tell me about living in England and London and traveling around the world. And you did movies in Italy.
Yes, I did a lot of movies.
You know, you travel all over the world. And as an English actress, you're very, very well known through that Fox, the movie The Fox.
Yes, The Fox was a landmark movie, and it did tremendous things for me, you know, from an international point of view.
But you brought something to the film, something a little different, with an expression of a woman made love 3 different ways.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
First, I wanted to mention about the traveling, because one of the wonderful perks, I should say, of being in the movie business is the travel. You get to go to countries and you get to see places. I went into the heart of the Amazon once in Peru, which you would never do, perhaps, well, you might never do in your personal life. But getting back to the Fox, yes, that was a...
God, making love to,
yes, I had
to a mirror. You made love to a mirror. I mean, you made love to yourself, and you made love...
Yes, there was a scene with making love to Sandy Dennis, she was my co-star, making love to Keir Dullea, and also there was a masturbation scene in the bathroom. And this was a really very avant-garde. I mean, this hadn't been done, particularly in America. I mean, this hadn't been seen before.
Never. No.
So, but the film was done in wonderful taste, and we had a marvelous director, Mark Rydell. He was wonderful because I think he had been an actor, So he was wonderful with actors.
Right.
And we had a marvelous team spirit. There were Carey, Sandy, myself,
Right.
and Mark, the wonderful cameraman Bill Fraker,
Right.
who's since become a director. And it was a wonderful team, even though the conditions were terrible. It was 20 below zero. You know,
Really?
sometimes we
Where was
couldn't-
this filmed at? In
In Canada,
in Canada.
Toronto, Canada.
But you got a letter from a psychiatrist
Yes, one of
about
them,
this film,
yes.
because this film got all the awards. I mean, it got gold nominations, everything.
Yes, it did. And we were, Lowe Show won the Oscar for the best music.
Right.
And it was, I'm glad you mentioned about the psychiatrist, because, you know, we often get a lot of fan mail, as you know,
Right.
Skip, in this business. But this letter, when it came, was very gratifying, because she is a Harvard medical psychiatrist, and she had said that there was so much psychological truth in the movie, and she was now using what she called the Fox phase
Right.
to treat her women patients.
Yes.
And I felt that we had made a breakthrough, and that we had done what we wanted to do. And particularly, Raymond always made these films that had a social statement. And really, not only were they entertaining and in wonderful taste, impeccable taste, but definitely gave us a new insight into the human condition.
Right. Right.
And that's what we did with the Fox.
You got
And
a
I'm
lot of
very
awards.
grateful
It
for
was a
that.
wonderful movie. I loved it.
Thank you.
This movie we're seeing right now, this clip we're going to see, it's this clip is called what? Equalizer?
Yes, this is
Equalizer?
a two-part Equalizer I did with Edward Woodward.
Yes.
And
go ahead. I'd like to see it if you brought it with you.
I did, yes.
You did?
Yes, I did,
Okay.
Skip.
I'd like to see that. Equalizer, right?
Right.
Okay, let's see it.
Edward Woodward
Uh-huh.
and Anthony Zerbe, another wonderful actor.
You seem like you enjoy doing those kind of roles.
Yes, though, I really do like heavy drama.
Heavy
That is
drama.
my love, yes.
Is it?
Yes.
Because you did another one. It was, I think you played a transsexual in a film?
Yes, I did.
And what film is that?
This was based on a very moving novel, I Want What I Want. And actually, I read it and then gave it to Raymond and said, I think this would make a marvelous film. And again, it was way ahead of its time. And for the first 10 minutes of that movie, I play a boy.
Uh-huh.
And it was marvelous trying to get under the skin of this character. And that's what I love about
Did you do some
acting.
homework on this? I mean,
Oh,
like,
yes.
Did you go out there and meet some of these
Yes,
transsexuals?
I did. And we had a marvelous director, John Dexter, you know.
Right.
He was a very fine director with the Royal Shakespeare Company in England. Oh, yes, I also was living in Switzerland at the time, and I noticed that when men or women were wearing ski boots, they tended to walk the same, the heavy boots. So I got some shoes made with lead in them to help me to walk in a masculine way. And of course I had my hair cut very short, and all I did was, I didn't want to wear a moustache or something like that. I just made my eyebrows very heavy, and I realized, studying myself, that I couldn't smile. I wouldn't look masculine if I smiled,
Right.
but I think I ended up looking like a very effeminate boy, which is what the character was, Roy. And I also went to the Queen Charlotte's Hospital. There was an eminent psychiatrist there, and I sat down and I had about 200 questions to ask him about transsexuals. And I said, could I get away with living as a woman? And he said, it's been done so often, my dear, that I wonder that you ask me. And I asked him all these, the various questions I wanted to know, and I then worked with a real transsexual. And I asked her, I had to say her because she was so feminine. I mean, I couldn't think of this person as a boy because she was so feminine. And she had gone through the whole psychiatric treatment and the operations, and she was now a woman. And she said the one thing that she wanted more than anything was the skirt, to wear the skirt. Now, I was wearing slacks at the time. That's the irony, you know. She said she would never wear slacks now, that the skirt was what she wanted to wear. And when she finally saw the movie, I was again very pleased, because she said, she was crying, and she said, that's the way I was.
She did cry.
Yes. And I found that you could change your passport and to a female, you know, from a male to a female, but you couldn't change your birth certificate. They still hadn't, and you're not allowed to adopt children.
Your movie was just in Palm Springs at the film festival, the one that you got the awards for, the most controversial movie there is. Tell me about that.
The Fox.
The Fox. Yeah,
The
tell
Fox.
me about, they honored you again and again and again. Getting back with the Fox, you brought a clip right now for this.
I did, yes.
I'd like to see it, just a little clip from the Fox
Yes.
right now to my
All
audience,
right.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see it.
Oh, yes. I had GPS.
Wow, whew, that is a powerful movie, I tell you. But you had an experience on, with Lucille Ball
Oh,
Tell me
yes,
about
yes, that
Lucille
was
Ball.
delightful. That was so funny.
at a party?
Yes,
After
I
party?
met Lucille at a party, and she told me, she said that she had ordered the video of The Fox, and she wanted to see it.
Uh-huh.
And she was under the impression it was a Disney movie. And she said, God, you know, what a surprise I had when I ran the film and saw that, you know.
Uh-huh.
But she still enjoyed it very much, and she thought it was in an excellent taste.
Yeah, did she like it? Huh?
She loved it, yes.
Gregory Peck. You worked with Gregory Peck, and the
Yes.
chairman, was it?
Yes.
What a great movie that was. Tell me about
Yes.
working with this great man, too.
He was wonderful to work with. Gregory's so much a gentleman. you
Isn't
know.
he?
He really is.
Yeah, he's
And
an
it
English
just comes-
gentleman-like,
Yes,
isn't
he
he?
is, and it comes across in everything he does.
Uh-huh.
In fact, I don't think I'd ever seen him in a villainous part up at that time. Since then he played in the terrible German character, escapes me at the moment. But up until that time, when I played the chairman with him, he'd always been a very, shall we say, you know, honorable person, a very good person. And I found in this he was playing a man who went into China with a transistor in his skull, implanted in his skull.
Right.
But what he didn't know was that if Washington wanted to, they could explode this device if they felt, you know, because it was the Cold War time then, and if they felt it was necessary. He didn't know that, and of course, naturally, when he gets back and he knows this, he's very angry about it, and I play his fiancée.
I see.
But he has to leave me behind, so a lot of the film, I'm not in the film, I'm sort of left behind, but I'm a nuclear physicist, so that was an interesting role, and
You're a busy actress. You keep very busy.
Thank you, yes.
You're living here now
Yes, I
in
am.
California.
Yes.
Tell me about, and you got a new husband.
Yes.
A
I was
new
married
husband?
5 months ago.
5 months, a producer?
No, he's
No?
an attorney and a writer and a social philosopher. He writes on constitutional theory and is very much an expert on the criminal procedures because he was a prosecutor as well as a defendant. But we're going to write together. A defense lawyer, I should say. But we are going to write together, and we're in the process right now of working on a project which will again be very controversial.
You seem very busy, and you seem very happy.
Thank you very much. Yes, I am.
You are happy.
Yes, I
here.
am. I wouldn't have thought this.
Because you had some tough times when you lost your husband.
Yes, it was a terrible year. And,
It was.
horrible.
How did you handle that? How did Anne Heywood handle that situation?
Well,
because you were married so long.
Yes, and we had a wonderful marriage, and we worked together too, so we were hardly ever separated. We were only,
Right.
I'd say, apart for about 3 weeks throughout the whole of that time.
Oh, my.
We made a pact to work together so that we would have a marriage, because I don't think you can be married and be 6 months apart. I don't think you can keep a marriage, and it was awful.
So you want to keep
grief
busy.
is terrible. Yes.
Grief is terrible, yes.
It's terrible, and I don't think society has ever come to grips with this or knows really how to deal with it. You have to deal with it yourself. But I have come through it, I went through it, and I've come out on the other side, and I think I'm much stronger.
You're spiritual? Are you spiritual?
Yes, and I think that I'm going to do what Raymond would have wanted me to do, continue with my career, and go on and do even better things, I
What
hope.
does Anne Heywood really like to direct?
I have been offered a job to direct. I have been, but I'm not ready to do that yet. I still think I have to do a lot more with my acting. And of
Because
course,
you've done some controversial films.
I know. Yes,
mean,
I have.
Every film practically has been very, very controversial.
Very. It seems to be.
What would you like to do now? Something a little more different, or just keep controversial?
Oh, I'd love to do a very light romantic comedy, you know, because basically I am very romantic at heart. But I do, I feel the human condition is so fascinating, so interesting, that it must also be entertaining. And that's what I think we should do, give the audience some new insight, if we can, on some other aspect of the human condition, even if we disturb them. And I think that's what excites me, to do that. That's what I love about acting, and getting in the skin of another human being, and being. In fact, a lot of the films I've been deglamorized and very different from what I am. And I don't mind it. You know, I don't mind it if it's necessary for the role.
Looking back, Anne Heywood, would you do it the same way?
I think so. Yes, I have no regrets so far.
Really?
No.
You would do it the same way?
Yes.
So Anne Heywood is happy then?
Yes, and I'm basically an optimist. You know, I have a quote saying that an optimist is wrong just as often as a pessimist, but he has a much happier time. And
You're having a good time.
I'm having a good time.
That's what I want to hear too, because that's what it's all about right now.
That's what we're here for, Skip, to enjoy life. Otherwise,
yes.
there's no point.
Yes. How about singing? Or a play coming up, love letters. You know, I could see you in love letters.
Yes, I'd love to do love letters.
Everyone's doing love letters.
Everybody's doing it, and I went to see it. I've seen it already twice, and I can see why. And I'd love to do it. I'd like to do it with Keir Dullea. We were partners in the Fox, and I think they are using people who have been partners either in life or on the screen or on the stage, and I'd like to do that.
About England. Go to England and do it. That's great.
That's an idea, Skip. That's an idea.
England. Be wonderful. You brought another clip I'd like to see.
Yes, this is from William Inge's Good Luck, Miss Wyckoff.
Is it?
Again, another controversial role.
And who's in this?
Oh, there's some wonderful actors.
Okay, let's see. Another controversial film.
You are probably the finest teacher that I have ever had the pleasure of working with. But I have to ask you to resign. As of now.
I understand.
I mean that I think you should plan on leaving now.
I know.
Was there anything I can do for you?
Well, it would help if you could possibly give me a recommendation. I realize what I'm asking. But maybe in some place far away. I feel certain I could live up to any recommendation you can give me.
It's all right. There was a young man that I went to school with when I was getting my master's degree. He was a very bright fellow. He's now superintendent of schools someplace in New Jersey. He's a good fellow, and he's broad-minded. I would have to tell him that I asked you to resign and give him some truthful explanation. But at the same time, I could still give him a very, very good recommendation for you as a teacher. You know, I, for one, believe that this behavior pattern, the lapse in it is over, that it won't recur.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, I guess this is goodbye.
Yes. Yes. Goodbye.
Evelyn, why on earth did you do that?
Mr. Havermeyer, you've been very kind.
Good luck, Miss Wyckoff.
God, you have worked with some great actors.
Yes, I have. I've been very lucky.
Richard Harris.
Yes.
Who's up for the award right now.
Yes.
I mean, Roddy McDowell.
Roddy McDowell, yes.
I mean,
lovely man.
Robert
yes.
Mitchum.
Robert
Tell
Mitchum.
me about Robin Mitchum. God, you must have been, the chemistry must have been great there.
It was. This was the film where I first met my husband, Raymond Strauss. I was under contract to rank, and he wanted me. He tried to get me for 2 films before, but each time I was busy and I couldn't do it.
Right.
Finally, I was shooting a film, Cartagine in Fiamme, in Rome, and a letter came from him to say that he wanted me for this part in A Terrible Beauty. It's a co-star with Robert Mitchum and Richard Harris and Dan O'Herlihy. They're all marvelous actors. And I was thrilled to do this. You know, so I had to fly off to Ireland where the film was being shot. And it was dealing with the IRA, you know, and it was again a very heavy drama. But I found Robert Mitchum very different from what I had thought he would be. You know, I thought he would be very tough, macho, which of course he is all of that, but there's also another side to him. I found him on the set one day actually quoting poetry. doing it very well, and also singing. He was then rehearsing his singing voice, and I found him to be, I found a very sensitive side to him.
Michael Parks told me this. Michael Parks
Did
and him
he?
are
Yes,
very much
yes.
poetry and all
Oh,
this.
absolutely, and that I found,
lovely.
and very much a gentleman in his handling of me, and very, very, an excellent experience. You know, it was lovely to work with him.
And Roddy McDowall?
Roddy McDowall is a
great?
gem.
Isn't he?
And I love his photography too. His
Yes,
photographs are
yes.
wonderful. He was with me on the Fred Astaire movie.
Right.
In
You did Fred Astaire movie.
yes.
What was that?
Midas Run. That was a caper. That was not. That was one of the. That was a very light movie. And Fred was playing a British intelligence officer. And it was with Richard Crenna. And that was a lot of fun. We went to Rome, and actually, Fred Astaire had never been to Italy. I couldn't believe this. I had done a lot of work in Italy, and the paparazzi knew me. And of course, when Fred came, they chased him everywhere. And of course, I was with him too, so we were chased all over Rome.
How do you handle that when the paparazzi, you know, how do you handle that,
Well,
Anne?
I found out if you run away from them, they'll just keep running after you anyway. So the best way to do is stand and face them, let them take the photographs, and then they go...